Hello, friends. Welcome to the Epic Alchemy Podcast, episode 31. And it is our anniversary. It's our anniversary. Dun, 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 dun. Woohoo! Mashup. Has anyone done that one? It's our anniversary. It is 1 year since the launch of this podcast. And today I want to talk about how to not quit, even if you love novelty and you have a tendency to quit projects. Hi, it's me. Over the last year or like a little over a year, I have been doing some long-term things and I am so proud of myself because I'm a not, that much of a I never I d going back to last podcast, I don't really identify as a commitment person or long-term person, but I actually have evidence that I am. So that's what I mean about identity because sometimes you think you're one thing and then it's like you see evidence for actually how you that's not true. So look for that evidence for whatever you want to do. So, I want to share this annual episode to share what I've done and how to not quit because listen, if I can do it, so can you, really. Now, I will start by saying that I decided to commit to it. When I started it, I just said, I'm going to do it no matter what, I'm going to keep going. And I waited a long time to start this podcast because I didn't want to fizzle out. And I wanted to make sure that I really wanted to do it. And then I just realized I'm just going to do it because it was kind of like a challenge for me. And I didn't take it too seriously as far as needing it to be perfect and needing it to be like really riveting content, but I did want to provide value or whatever. But I wanted to share behind the scenes stuff and everything, but I didn't put too much pressure on myself. So without further ado, I'm going to go through this list, which I probably have already like messed up the order of the list by sharing that. But okay, so first and foremost, staying with the theme, the last day of this month, make it fun. Do something that is fun for you. Pick something if you wanna commit to something. So, if we're gonna use podcasts because this is what but it can be anything you want, but make sure it's something that's fun for you, something that you enjoy talking about, that you enjoy learning about, that you enjoy sharing about, something that you can just talk about forever. And I've had a lot of time to think about that because sometimes I will think that I found something that I want to talk about forever. And then I'm like, oh, okay, I think I'm done talking about that. But this is something that I've lived. The things that I talk about on this podcast is it's me. It's me. It's what I help my clients with because I am also I'm I am there's a version of me that is my ideal client that is my podcast listener. It's me. And so it's like I'm living it, and I'm just sharing what's working for me, what's helping my clients. And that's what I always do because I get it because I'm an empath. I feel my way through things, and as an empath, as an actor, as everything, then I see myself through I'm able to see myself through other people, and by being this I'm getting very meta, but the point is make it fun, make it something you enjoy, because if you wanna commit long term, then it's gotta be enjoyable for you or for me. If you're like me, it needs to be fun. You need to be able to, like, switch it up and make it fun, and it's also been kind of, I could talk about a lot of different things. I haven't made it, like, single-minded focused. It is focused, but it's not like, "Okay, I'm only gonna talk about one element. It's like I have a lot of different things that I can talk about, and so that's what it's kind of like gives brings in that novelty part for me because I do have a lot of interests. I'm multi-passionate. I lots of things that I wanna talk about, learn about, things that I wanna share, and so, yeah, so keeping it, like, kind of, like, with the type of person and the things that I go through, then that has helped me to be able to talk about a lot of different things, and it is kind of like I ended up talking about a lot of the same things, but anyway, so, if and also make it something that you're interested in, something that you have a deep knowledge of, like, that's what I'm talking about here, or a curiosity, like something that you would love to just keep learning about, or you've been learning about for a long time, which would give you a deep knowledge, but you either have like an intimate knowledge of it as yourself, or you're just really curious and you're like, wow, I'm super fascinated about this. And the next thing that I want to share is don't get attached to the outcome. So don't get attached to getting something from it as far as like what do I mean by that? Take the whole lesson. So this is what I mean. I didn't start this podcast to get a bunch of listeners, to get a bunch of clients, to make a bunch of money. That's great. That's great if I do. I'm completely open to that. But I knew that putting that pressure on my podcast would be the death of it. Because by putting that pressure on it up front, it kind of, like, squashes any kind of joy out of it because if you don't get the thing and it's like, "How long is this gonna take?" Well, first of all, podcasts, they say you gotta give them a year. Like, "Hi, we're just now being born because 'cause we're a year old." So, if you're doing a long-term thing and you can't be expecting the results to happen right away. And if you are not a long-term person, like I thought I was, then that's gonna be a challenge. So, what I've done instead is I took the lessons from it. I took the lessons of showing up for something and the things that come up about me showing up for it, like my blocks around, like, keeping showing up and then sharing that on here, so it's become very meta, which is, like, kind of what happens with everything I do. But taking the lessons of what makes it easier for me to be consistent? What makes it easier for me to think of ideas? What makes it easier for me to get the production done? Is it better to do, like taking these lessons and like, oh, here's what I got a lot more views on or listens to this subject. So maybe that's something that people are interested in. So let me try that out in on other platforms or in my newsletters or whatever. And just playing with that and getting more like data and seeing like my own data, like my own lessons that I learn, like intrapersonal lessons, my lessons as a business person, as a person who is into self development. It's like a self development thing. So taking all of those lessons, that is what I do it for. So that is what I'm getting from this. So I'm not monetizing this podcast and it's okay because this is what I actually started it for was to challenge myself to do something that I was inviting my clients to do because that I'm helping them to step out of their, comfort zone and to do things that are hard for them. And I wanted to do it myself because I was like, you know what? I feel like I'm kind of just like writing, riding along, and I need something to challenge me. So I did it, and it's really been a fun journey and learning about all the things and then, not getting too attached to the data from it because, there's episodes that get more listens or whatever, but I have to say, okay, like who are the people listening to it? I don't know. Like I don't know if this hits with the people that might be a client or if it's like some whatever. So not getting too attached to the outcomes, but taking the lessons that you need and the learnings that you need, and you can apply them to the other areas, or just be like, yeah, I did this. And it's just a challenge of like, can I do this? But sometimes that's not enough. So I think it's really good to get the other lessons that you can get from like where can I evaluate what's working, what I can do differently, what can I do better, what do I need to let go of, what's taking up too much time, because I tell you what, there have been times during this year, and I don't know how long I'm going to do this podcast. I don't know. I'm just going indefinitely, but I was like, I didn't commit to a year. I was like, I'm just going to keep going. And so I thought that I would go for a year, but I definitely knew that I was gonna go past 10 episodes because it's like, no, most people don't make it to 10 episodes. Now all the podcasts that you listen to probably do, but they're actually in the minority because most people that start podcasts, they don't make it past episode 3. And episode 10 is like, "Okay, now you tell people about it." I told people about it right away because I already had 3 in the can. So I did 3, I batched 3 when I started. So there have been times where I'm like, I think, "You know what? This is a lot of work." Like, I have other things that I wanna do, and it's like, "Oh, no, I forgot I gotta do a podcast." And there have been times when I thought, "Is this too much?" But I kept going because I was like, "No, this is I don't wanna let it go at this point." So, there are gonna be times when things come up that you're, like, questioning whether you wanna keep doing it because it can be a lot sometimes, some things that you're doing that you're committing to, and if you're not getting, like, big, results from, it's easy to blow it off. So that's why you have to take the lessons and you have to be like, "No, this is a thing that I'm seeing through and I'm learning from it and I'm getting better at this." So I also did it to now I'm remembering why I said so I also did it so I get better at just speaking off the cuff and practicing just talking about things and proving to myself that I do have things to talk about because that's one of my favorite my used to be one of my brain's favorite things to say is like, I don't know what to say. Um, turns out I do. And I just have to sit down and do it. So I took that lesson, which was really, really helpful and valuable for a lot of different areas of my business. And being able to speak just off the cuff, unscripted. I did it before in other things, but like in very short form. So doing longer form things, getting better at having pauses and not saying like too much. I do say like quite a bit. I'm okay with it, but I want to be aware of it and not use a ton of filler words, even though I still do use some filler words. So, those are the lessons that I got. And then one of the biggest things is getting coaching. So, I'm just going to insert get coaching right here because getting coaching has helped me to be consistent with things that I was never identifying as someone who was consistent with before. And it has made such a huge difference because getting coaching, having a coach helps you to catch your sabotages because sabotages are tricky. We don't always see them because there are saboteurs. They're tricky. We think that it's something, but it's actually our saboteur behind the scenes that's making us think, "Oh, I don't want to do this anymore because of this." But it's like, "Oh no, it's actually perfectionism or it's actually whatever." So getting coaching helps you to see through your own BS basically because like when we're sitting in a room here, you can just like go around in circles and think, you know what? That's true. That is true. Exactly what my brain is saying. That is true. And I think that's a good idea to not keep doing the thing that I set out to do. So when you have a coach, your coach will go, "Okay, interesting because you did say that you wanted to do that." So a coach will help you to see your own BS. And when you have a coach, then you can either adapt what you're doing to make it work better. You can abandon it if it's not a good fit for you. But at least you will have clarity on it out with someone outside of you who is objective, who knows how to find the truth for you, and so that you can make that decision clearly. But if you've decided to do it, then it's like, why don't we make it fun? Why don't we make it in a way that works for you? So if it's taking too long, let's find a way for it to take less time. If it's if it's hard to do whatever, if you're if whatever fears come up or whatever, then we find a way to work through that. Then we find a way like, okay, what can we do that's different? Or how can we think about this differently? And that has been so helpful for me with becoming the person who shows up for things that I want to do. I've been getting coaching for a long time. I love getting coaching so much. Like, I will never be without a coach. So it's just like, why wouldn't you want a coach? Like somebody who can help you to do the things that you want to do and to get out of your own way and to like help you catch the places where you're tripping up and tricking yourself into not living the life that you want, not having what you want, not doing what you want. So, yes, that is very important, but you don't have to. It's a, you can do it, but it's very helpful. And then another thing is letting go of perfectionism. So this has been a really good journey for me with letting go of perfectionism because first of all, I don't need my episodes to be super long. For a long time I thought, how am I going to talk about something for 45 minutes because I thought podcasts should be 45 minutes because those are the ones that I listen to. And then I was like, "Oh, I found some that are short." And that's kind of nice because sometimes I don't have 45 minutes or I never get back to it because it's 45 minutes. And so I realized I don't have to do 45 minutes. And then when I first started, I was like, oh, you know what? I have a 7-minute podcast. How refreshing. You just play it and listen to it and then you're done. So letting go of the perfectionism of that, letting go of the perfectionism of it being great every time. I hope that you get something out of it. I hope that there's something that hits with you or you find the one that you need. And knowing that it's okay, just keep going if they're not all gonna be hits. You're just getting better, and they don't all have to be hits because this is one of my things is that I think it's gotta be great every time. Every time I gotta do something well, and if I do something that I'm proud of, like a post or an email or a podcast, I'm like, "That was so good," and then in the past that has made me hesitant to do the next one because I'm like, "Oh, it's gotta be as good as that or better," and that is a way to not be consistent because it's not always gonna be hits. It's not. So, letting go of that perfectionism and just letting the keeping it rolling, you're gonna have something else that's gonna hit. It's gonna be great. So, letting go of any to that to be perfect and letting go of the perfectionism around always getting it right with the timing. So if you fall off, not throwing in the towel and being like, oh, well, yeah, I quit doing it. No, you just took a pause. So a pause is only a quit if you let it be. Pause is only a quit if you let it be. Because there have been times that I have not hi, we're at the anniversary. I try to do these weekly, and we're only on episode 31. So, there's more than 31 weeks in a year. So, I haven't done it every week for this year. And you know what I feel about that? I feel neutral. I feel totally neutral. I feel like I still showed up for a year. I still feel like I showed up for a year. Did I show up every week? No, I didn't. And that's okay. I'm not going to feel bad about it. I'm not going to beat myself up about it. I'm not going to say, well, you almost did it. No. So that is what has kept me going because oftentimes when we let perfectionism rule how we show up, how much we show up, if we miss one thing, then it's like everything's over. Start over. Trash. It's like it's the same thing. It's like with showing up with like, eating healthy with anything. It's like, "Oh, I didn't eat healthy this day." Like, "Oh, well, that's today's over." Or I didn't show up this week or I didn't show up in the last 2, 3 weeks. I guess I'm not doing it anymore. No, just get up back up and do it again. Get back up. Who cares? I mean, maybe people miss you, maybe they don't, but who cares? Just get back up and do it. Don't let it be your quit. It's okay. Don't feel bad about it. Don't have shame about it. Easier said than done, but this is a practice, and this is part of the learning that you can get from being consistent with something, even if you're not making money from it or whatever the big goal is. I don't know. But these are the little micro lessons that are actually huge lessons. And track how many times you do it. Just keep track of it. Like, it's really easy for me with a podcast because I can see all the episodes that I did and I could see, okay, I'm on number 31. Okay, I've been doing it for this long. But keep track of your wins so that you can have more of them. And by wins, I mean showing up. Every time you show up is a win. Doesn't matter if it's great. It doesn't matter if it hits. It doesn't matter if anybody listens to it, watches it, reads it, whatever. You freaking showed up. And that counts as a win because that's what's going to get you to being really good at what you do and to be really good at showing up for yourself, for things that you want to create, and to creating this new identity as someone who really shows up and is consistent and doesn't doesn't quit. Okay. So that's what I've got for you today. And thank you so much for listening, for being here, for celebrating this anniversary with me. And yeah, if you've been listening for this whole time, if you're new here, it doesn't matter. I am so happy to have you here. And yeah, leave me a comment if you want. If you want to like leave me a review or something, or want to do something nice, please. Something encouraging, then I would love it. And yeah, now I guess I got to like start thinking about how to optimize this. Just kidding. Just kidding. It's perfect the way it is. And we're going to keep going. So thanks so much. And that's what I got for you. And I will see you next time. Bye.